think this is possibly your worst episode ever. Once again, you've only stated opinions and your little intro video, although comical, didn't prove anything. We do have proof in the medical fields that the brains of homosexual men have more circuits like heterosexual women that deal with language, perhaps explaining why homosexual men tend to outperform straight men in verbal skills tests, as do heterosexual women. The area of the brain that processes emotions also looked much the same in gay men as in straight women, and both groups have higher rates of depressive disorders than heterosexual men. Not only that, but we can see homosexuality in many other organisms as well. We have scientists describing behaviors as diverse as lesbian gulls that share a nest and rear chicks together, or the homosexual orgies of male manatees. Researchers stress that animal homosexuality is not a single uniform phenomenon. Their mission is to document its sheer diversity. Same-sex behaviors in animals exhibits every conceivable variation. What they deplore is the prevailing Noah's Ark view of animal sexuality. Sometimes preliminaries to homosexual encounters closely resemble homosexual courtship, as in the mutual ecstatic displays of some male penguins and the castanet-like teeth chattering of male walruses. But sometimes homosexual encounters elicit novel displays. Male ostriches court other males with a unique pirouette dance, for instance, while some female monkeys engage in hide-and-seek games played only during female-female interactions. Italian geneticists may have explained how genes apparently linked to homosexuality survive, despite gay men seldom having children. Their finding also undermines the theory of a single gay gene. The researchers discovered that women tend to have more children when they inherit the same, as yet unidentified, genetic factors linked to homosexuality in men. This fertility boost more than compensates for the lack of offspring fathered by gay men, and keeps the gay genetic factors in circulation. The findings represent the best explanation yet for the Darwinian paradox presented by homosexuality. It is a genetic dead end, yet the trait persists generation after generation. We have finally solved this paradox, says Andrea Campirio-Chiani of the University of Padua. The same factor that influences sexual orientation in males promotes higher fecundity in females. But on to the rest of your video. I can't tell if you actually believe that if no one is in a forest when a tree falls over it gives off no sound. Which it obviously does. Sound doesn't cease to exist simply because we don't hear it, just like radio waves exist even though we cannot see them. Not only that, but if you haven't noticed, humans are the only things that can hear sound. Fortunately, I do not need to fall off topic as you, nearly every episode, feel the urge to. So I'm sorry, but you will have to get your Big Bang and abiogenesis information elsewhere. Let me remind you, again, that this is a series between creation versus evolution, not creation versus evolution versus abiogenesis versus a Big Bang. However, I'm more than willing to explain it more clearly to you privately, as you obviously are intensely misinformed. As for your next statement, you say, I could agree with you that evolution does not require abiogenesis. However, it would imply that God creates everything through evolution. I have no idea how you got the impression of that. It doesn't imply anything. It simply states that evolution does not require abiogenesis. Could you please give us a reason as to why that would be true anyways? I could explain how life came from non-life, but that would also be abiogenesis, so I'm not going to get into that. Unlike you, I will respect the rules we both applied to this debate. The answers of NWO 3 then says, the aliens did not, I repeat, did not create us because they have had to evolve, which is scientifically impossible. How the hell did we get on the topics of aliens? Did I ever give that as proof that we exist? No. As for your last statement, I have clearly shown how the scientific theory of evolution is in fact scientific. Gravity. Gravity obviously exists, except we have a theory of gravity, and the theory of gravity explains how and why gravity exists. Gravity is completely evident. The theory has a few holes in it, however. Without the theory of gravity, gravity would still exist. If you prove the theory of gravity wrong, gravity still exists. Our explanation was just wrong. Evolution. Evolution obviously exists. All scientists agree to this, except we have a theory of evolution, and all the theory of evolution does is explain why evolution exists. This theory does have a few holes in it, and some scientists do not agree completely with this theory. They understand evolution is an intrinsic property of life. A theory we made to attempt to explain why it exists and how is the only thing they don't totally agree on. Without the theory of evolution, evolution would still exist. If you prove the theory of evolution wrong, evolution still exists, our explanation was just wrong. Your last take on Islam is just sheer offense. The Islamic God and the Christian God are the same God, whether you like it or not. The two religions just worship the same God differently. Just like Christianity absorbed Judaism, so did Islam absorb both Judaism and Christianity. No matter how hard you believe it doesn't, or how much information you suppress from yourself, you cannot escape the reality that is around you. But all these facts I'm throwing out about everything, not just evolution or biology or science, but everything, is not meant for you. They are in fact meant for anyone else that is watching. I am not trying to convince you of anything. You have already made up your mind on what is true and what isn't. And you've already made up your own mental dictionary on everything in the world to your personal perspective. No matter what anyone says, you cannot accept a fact regardless of how insignificant the correction someone gave to you would be. You, whether you think so or not, are so incredibly close-minded that you think you're open-minded. And your ego is so massive, it probably has its own gravitational pull to it. With this ego, you don't even think you have one. You think you're the perfect being, even if you admit that you're not, but that is probably never going to happen. And for some reason you think you're intelligent as well. If God made you, buddy, there is no such thing as intelligent design.